biggest boss and I've been a Trillis. I'm a bigger problem when I click with Skrillex. Murder on my mind, it's time to pray to God. My revolver's not religious, the revolution's born.
Adam Smith, born in 16 June 1723, was a Scottish moral philosopher, pioneer of political economy, and a key figure in the Scottish Enlightenment. Adam Smith is considered to be the father of economics. It is not so because he was first explorer in the field of economics, also not because he revolutionized economic planning by his maiden ideas, but because he abbreviated what he had received from his predecessors and handed it down as a guide to the coming generations. He was the editor and not the author, organizer and not the originator of economic science. He was the man of systematic work and balanced presentation, not of great new ideas, but a man who carefully investigates the given data, criticizes them coolly and sensibly, and coordinates the judgments arrived at with others which have already been established. Adam Smith contained all his ideas in his Wealth of Nations. The most important aspect of this book was a theory of economic development. Physiocracy came into existence due to mercantilism. They believed in science of natural laws and emphasized the significance of agriculture and contended that it is the only industry that can make country wealthy. Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations was scientific not because it contained the absolute truth, but because it came as a turning. The main points of the theory are as under: natural law. Adam Smith proposes natural law in economic affairs. He advocated the philosophy of free and independent action. Every individual member of society is left to pursue his economic activity. He will maximize the output to the best of his ability. Freedom of action brings out the best of an individual, which increases society wealth and progress. Adam Smith opposed any government intervention in industry and commerce. He was a staunch free trader and advocated the policy of laissez-faire in economic affairs. He opines that natural laws are superior to law of states. Statutory law or man-made law can never be perfect and beneficial for the society. That is why Smith respects nature's law, because nature is just and moral. Nature teaches men the lesson of morality and honesty. This exercise favorable effects on the economic progress of society. Laissez-faire. Adam Smith's theory is based on the principle of laissez-faire, which requires that state should not impose any restriction on freedom of an individual. The theory of economic development rests on the pillars of saving, division of labor, and wide extent of market. Saving or capital accumulation is the starting point of this theory. He believed that there is a set of rules or rights of justice, and perhaps even morality in general, which are or may be known by all men by hello either or reason or of a moral sense, and which possesses an authority superior to that of such commands of human sovereigns and such customary legal and moral regulations as may contravene them. Adam Smith, in his book Wealth of Nations, pointed out three benefits of division of labor. Number 1, increase of dexterity of workers. Number 2, saving time required to produce commodity. Number 3, invention of better machines and equipment. Why was Adam Smith so important? Adam Smith was important because he wrote The Wealth of Nations, which is a Bible of capitalism, and he also achieved the firm, comprehensive system of political economy. He was born in Scotland and was a known philosopher and political economist. He studied moral philosophy at Glasgow University. Smith first published a volume called An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations. During his time, a country's wealth was estimated by the amount of gold and silver it owned. Smith proposed that the nation's wealth should not be measured through this metric but through its total production and commerce, which today is known as gross national product. He also talked about the concept of division of labor, which would help to increase production through specialization. Smith believed that free market economics are productive and helpful to society. He said that if people were set free to work by themselves, it would lead to economic property and growth to all. He earned a stable reputation after writing The Wealth of Nations, which is one of the most influential books ever written. Smith was named the rector of Glasgow University in 1787. He died 3 years later. Karl Marx. Karl Marx was born on 5th May 1818. He is German philosopher, economist, socialist, journalist, and revolutionary socialist. Karl Marx, the father of scientific socialism, is considered a great thinker of history. He is held in high esteem and is respected as a real prophet by the millions of people. Professor Schumpeter wrote, "Marxism is a religion. To an orthodox Marxist, an opponent is not merely in error but in sin." He is regarded as the father of history who prophesied the decline of capitalism and the advent of socialism. The Marxian analysis is the greatest and the most penetrating examination of the process of economic development. He expected capitalistic change to break down because of sociological reasons and not due to economic stagnation, and only after a very high degree of development is attained. His famous book, Das Kapital, is known as the Bible of Socialism, 1867. He represented the process of growth and collapse of the capital economy. Marxian economic theory of growth is based on certain assumptions. Number one, there are two principal classes in the society. Number one, bourgeoisie, and number two, proletariat. Number two, wages of the workers are determined at subsistence level of living. Advertisement. 3. Labor theory value holds good. Thus, labor is the main source of value generation. Number 4. Factors of production are owned by the capitalist. Number 5. Capital is of two types, constant capital and variable capital. Number 6. Capitalists exploit the workers. Number 7. Labor is homogeneous and perfectly mobile. 8. Perfect competition in the economy. Number 9. National income is distributed in terms of wages and profits. Marxian concept of economic development. In Marxian theory, production means the generation of value. Thus, economic development is the process of more value generating. Labor generates value, but high level of production is possible through more and more capital accumulation and technological improvement. Why would Karl Marx disagree with Smith's statement? Marx believed the focus should be on the market and the individual. Marx believed consumers should determine which goods are made available for sale. Marx promoted a system without economic regulation. Marx rejected capitalist ideas such as supply and demand. In conclusion, while both Adam Smith and Karl Marx agreed on a few core ideas, they differed on the method of production of goods and services and distribution of resources. Whereas Karl Marx went so far as suggesting revolution by the proletariat against the bourgeoisie for a more just, equitable society. Adam Smith preferred stability and peace over revolution. While Adam Smith's envisioned ideal society would not distribute resources equitably or eliminate gapping wealth levels between the different classes in a society, Marx's ideal economy would produce according to the directives from a central authority and distribute resources according to the needs of the public. In his ideal economy, Marx envisioned the elimination of class distinctions. John Maynard Keynes. Keynes was born in Cambridge and attended King's College, Cambridge, where he earned his degree in mathematics in 1905. Keynesian economics is the theory of total spending in the economy called aggregate demand and its effect on output and inflation. A Keynesian believes that aggregate demand is influenced by a host of economic decisions, both public and private, and sometimes behaves erratically. The public decisions include most prominently those on monetary and fiscal, that is, spending and tax policies. Some decades ago, economists hotly debated the relative strengths of monetary and fiscal policies, with some Keynesians arguing that monetary policy is powerless and more monetarists arguing that fiscal policy is powerless. But both of these are essentially dead issues today. Nearly all Keynesians and monetarists now believe that both fiscal and monetary policies affect aggregate demand. A few economists, however, believe in debt neutrality, the doctrine that substitutions of government borrowing for taxes have no effects on total demand. According to Keynesian theory, changes in aggregate demand, whether anticipated or unanticipated, have their greatest short-run effect on real output and employment, not on prices. This idea is portrayed, for example, in Phillips' curves that slow inflation rising only slowly when unemployment falls. Keynesians believe that what is true about the short run cannot necessarily be inferred from what must happen in the long run, and we live in the short run. They often quote Keynes' famous statement, "In the long run, we are all dead," to make the point. 3. Keynesians believe that prices, and especially wages, respond slowly to changes in supply and demand, resulting in periodic shortages and surpluses, especially of labor. Even Milton Friedman acknowledged that under any conceivable institutional arrangements, and certainly under those that now prevail in the United States, there is only a limited amount of flexibility in prices and wages. In current parlance, that would certainly be called a Keynesian position. No policy prescriptions follow from these three beliefs alone, and many economists who do not call themselves Keynesian would nevertheless accept the entire list. What distinguishes Keynesians from other economists is their belief in the following three tenets about economic policies. 4. Keynesians do not think that typical level of unemployment is ideal, partly because unemployment is subject to cap price of aggregate demand, and partly because they believe that prices adjust only gradually. In fact, Keynesians typically see unemployment as both too high on average and too variable, although they know that rigorous theoretical justification for this position is hard to come by. Keynesians also feel certain that periods of recession or depression are economic maladies, not as in real business cycle theory, efficient market responses to unattractive opportunities. 5. Many, but not all, Keynesians advocate activist stabilization policy to reduce the amplitude of business cycle, which they rank among the most important of all economic problems. Here, however, even some conservative Keynesians part company by doubting either the efficiency of stabilization policy or the wisdom of attempting it.
Wrongs, I have just begun.
Hey, what's up guys, how was this video? I hope you got it, and do you have any question? Okay, so if you have no question, I have some question to ask you. And what if there knows economics in the past? What do you think? And I ever asked this question to some girl, and she is really smart. She have really good idea. So let's see her.
Hello everyone, my name is Manasaporn Wonsawat. I am the second year student from Naresuan University International College, majoring in English for Business Communication. And I study a bit about the economics. So I think if there is no the economics in the past, the economy might not be the economy today. Or we might not have a great economic goal like this, because we don't even know what and how to produce. and how we can manage and distribute our limited resources. And the result in our society might not be enough to satisfy people's need, then it will become scarcity or the idea that the demand is greater than the result we have. So I think the economist is the only person who can help us to decide on those questions and help us to solve the problems. Thank you.
Thank you.